Hi, Lauren. I wanted to thank
Well,
you for coming in today. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what brings you in?
yeah, I am a grad student. I'm in my final year of grad school. I'm getting my master's in social work, and I would actually like to be a therapist myself in the future. And I have just been feeling so much stress, especially I'm in my final year, as I mentioned, so I'm also doing my clinical field work as well. And just really, really overwhelmed and feeling like I have too much on my plate.
Wow, it does sound like you have so much on your plate right now.
Yeah, I'm also working, and I also have other extracurricular activities. So just have like a lot that I'm going through right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a ton on your plate, and it must be so stressful. I definitely can relate because it's tough getting through school.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I am constantly just counting down the weeks. I actually have like a countdown on my planner for how many weeks left I have in school, and I'm just like frequently thinking about how I can't wait to be done and imagining what my life is going to be like when I'm not spending so many hours every week, writing papers and reading lessons and all these other things.
Yeah, it's gonna be so rewarding when you're done, and you're almost there.
Yeah, almost there. Also, just have to like get through the internship requirement too, which is just a lot of time being spent every week that isn't paid.
Yeah, I understand that that's very frustrating, not being paid for a lot of the work that you're doing right now on the internship.
Yeah, I understand like why it's required, because I definitely wouldn't want to be a therapist or a social worker out there in the field without any practical experience. Like the practical experience is definitely a necessary part of the education. It's just as like an adult with a job and a life and other commitments, it's just really it's overwhelming, and I would like to be able to have some of those hours be paid eventually again. I'm excited for that because then my life will just feel a little easier to afford.
Yeah, you understand the importance of the internship and getting experience before going into the field, but it would be nice for it to be paid and it would be nice to not be so stressed and have so much on your plate.
Yeah, I live in New York City, so the rent is really expensive. And so I think that's just on my mind a lot, that so many of my hours are being put towards school and internship stuff, which isn't paid, and how, then that adds on to me financially as a burden as well.
Yeah, it does sound like there's a lot of financial stress that's playing a factor in your stress right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that my husband works, and I do have a job that's somewhat flexible. But I only get paid for the hours that I work. It's not like a salaried kind of a position. And so my working hours have just been cut way back.
Yeah. I think it's great that you're able to identify some positives, right? Of your husband is working still and you do have a very flexible job. So I think that that's great.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have the job that I have. Um, but I again just like want to get through this period of time, get through the next 35 weeks, and be able to, breathe a little bit again. I just feel like being in school, there's always something hanging over my head. And when there's something hanging over my head, it's like I can never just totally relax.
Yeah, it's that feeling of I have something I have to do and I can't relax because I have something that I know I need to do.
Exactly, exactly. It's like even if I don't have to do it today, I know that I have something I could be working on. So it's hard for me to allow myself to like just chill out for a little bit or have that time to relax, because I'm like, no, you should use this time to get ahead, to work on some stuff. Otherwise, you're going to regret that you didn't use this time later.
Yeah, so you feel like you just don't have any time to relax, or at least the ability to relax when you do have time, because there's always something on your mind that you feel like you need to get done.
Yeah, definitely. Like I have a, list of all these different assignments that have to be completed. And even though several of them aren't due for several weeks, I know that I'm going to have to do them eventually. And I would like to try to get a head start on things just as much as possible.
Yeah, that jump start ahead would be really nice, right? Because it would be relieving knowing that you're ahead of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be such a relief if I could like get to a point where I don't know, I don't feel that feeling of things hanging over my head. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure it's very stressful having something always hanging over your head.
It's so stressful. Yeah, that's definitely the way that it feels. It's like I can't just relax because there's other stuff that I have to do. And yeah, I'm also starting a new, we just started our final year of school. So I'm in a new internship position and I have just anxiety over that as well because I really like it, but it's just very different. And I just don't have a ton of direction yet. I have like a lot of training videos and all this stuff that I'm watching, but I haven't had a ton of like person to person direction yet. I will soon.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it is stressful because it's new, and it sounds like right now you're still learning what your responsibilities are going to be. And I'm sure, once you get into the swing of things, it'll be a little bit more of a relief.
Yeah, I do think it'll be a relief once I'm like a few months in and I have some clients and I have more of a schedule and a routine down, then I do think that I'll start to feel less stressed. But man, it's just like getting through this whole period of time of being in school and an intern and working, just just really tough.
Yeah, I'm sure it is really tough right now. I remember even as a therapist myself going through that. So I definitely can relate, and I can reassure you that when you're done, it's going to be so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, it is going to be rewarding, and that's what I keep trying to remind myself about is that like um I decided to go through the program so that I would have a degree that could, make me hopefully a career and more money because I did my undergraduate degree in music. So I really wanted something that, would give me more of an adult life. And so I do think that's like I can see it. It's there. It's in the future, but I'm just working towards it. But I am excited to get to that period of time.
Yeah. I I think it's great that you're able to look into the future and focus on what the end result is going to be. I'm hearing a lot of like, you're stressed right now, but in the future, it's going to really pay off, and it's going to give you these more adult opportunities that are going to be very fulfilling for you.
Yeah, yeah, and like hopefully once I'm in a steady job and have clients and I'm getting paid and working, then I could move into a better apartment. My husband and I would like to find a bigger apartment. We would like to be able to afford to go on vacations and do some fun things like that. So it is like good to remind myself how much all of this is worth it. But I also am definitely trying to find some ways to handle the stress day to day currently because I don't think that I always handle the stress very well.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you're reminding yourself a lot of like what the rewards are going to be when you're done, but right now in this moment, you're really struggling to manage the stress of everything.
Yeah, I think that I really let the stress get to me physically and I don't always handle that really well because I can really feel it in my body, in my shoulders and my neck when I'm feeling a lot of tension, a lot of stress. And I definitely have been going through that lately. And I I think like I definitely I want to keep everything in my control as much as possible. But it's hard when some things aren't in my control. Like there's like an assignment with a partner, or if I'm waiting for a grade on something, or something that's not in my control, then I really sort of lose it. I just feel really stressed.
Yeah, I'm sure it is really tough to feel like you're not in control of everything right now because there is a good part of it that we can't control.
Yeah, and it's those things I think that really frustrate me and end up stressing me out the most because like I do try to get ahead on schoolwork. I try to, do the things that I can that are in my control to lessen my stress. But when there are other situations that involve other people, like I have in my seminar course, I have a partner project that I'm working on right now where I'm just not getting communication from the partner. And so like that has been really stressful for me because it's not in my control.
Oh, I can imagine that is so frustrating and stressful. Yeah, I can't imagine. It's when you're working on partner projects, it's really hard because you can only control what you're doing and how much you're reaching out. You can't control what they're doing.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of, several different partners for different assignments, and everybody has been really great. So this is the first time, and it's like right in the final year, and right when we're in this like transition with everything going on, where I mean, he just isn't really very communicative or timely.
Yeah.
Um, so he already had to request an extension on the very first part of the assignment that was due, and that really upset me. But I just wanted to like be gentle with him because I don't want to, be too harsh. But also, it's like I'm this person who's always getting everything submitted early, so that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Maybe a lesson for me in uh, submitting when I can't control everything.
Yeah.
Um,
That's definitely a good example of a situation where we can't control what the other person is doing. And I'm sure it's that having to get extensions and someone not being as timely as we are is very stressful.
yeah. Yes. And I keep trying to tell myself I have like a mantra that everything is always working out for me. That's my mantra. And I try to remind myself of that and that, being a little late on one assignment that isn't even worth points is not that big of a deal. So I'm trying to stay optimistic about it, but it's just that I really get anxious because I prefer to be somebody who's ahead of schedule rather than behind schedule.
Yeah. It sounds like you're able to remind yourself of those positive things that, it not being worth points. That's a really good thing to remind yourself to give yourself some relief. But I can understand that despite all of that, it's still very stressful to have a partner that's like that.
Yeah, I do think like I I have all these things that I stress out about, but I also kind of do the other side where try to remind myself that, hey, this isn't worth points. Hey, this is not that big of a deal. Hey, this isn't the end of the world. But it's hard to kind of balance those two sides because sometimes I am really stressed out and sometimes I'm able to kind of let things go.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to let things go more, but also still not be, turning work in late and getting good grades and everything.
Yeah, you want to be able to let things go that aren't that big of a deal while also still being responsible and getting things in on time.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, definitely some of the assignments are a much bigger deal and are worth more points and, that kind of thing. But some are not as much. So I think I would like to be able to feel less pressure in those times. But it's something that I'm working on. And I think like I have to go through a lot of self-talk and reminding myself that it's not that important and some deep breathing that can help, maybe like going for a walk,
Yeah.
doing something to kind of calm the stress down in my body.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a plan and you have a lot of good coping skills that you have like at your tool belt, I guess you could say. And I think that's really great because you have all those things that you can go to when you're realizing that this isn't something I can control and I'm really stressed out right now.
Yeah, that's true. I should try to do that more often
Mhm.
because I do have some of those resources, especially being in school to be a social worker. Like that's some of what we're learning is some of those resources. So I should draw upon those, I think, probably more frequently in those moments where I'm feeling the most stress.
Yeah, you have all the tools, you just have to know when to use them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, going into the training for this internship, I'm getting even more and more and more tools and like learning about all these different types of therapy. And so I think like it's important for me to remember that I can utilize some of that stuff for myself too. I don't have to just use that with clients, but I can do some of that stuff to help myself as well.
Yeah, it's great that you can realize that and you can, continue to learn, and by the time you're done with school, you're gonna have all these skills and all these tools that you're gonna be able to use.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna have a lot of different skills and ways that I can help myself and to help other people.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to thank you for sharing your experiences with me. And if it's okay with you, I would like to schedule a session for next week.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, awesome. I will see you then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.